All right, welcome back. So last night, our first race of the season between the National Sprint Car Series, the World of Outlaws, Night 1 at Volusia Speedway Park. And I've just got a couple of key takeaways here from last night. If I'm missing anything, then please let me know in the comment section below what you thought were some of the key takeaways that maybe I missed and didn't put here on the board. I've got the top 10 finishers over here. I've got some of those things I was talking about a moment ago over here on this side. Before I get into it, I did want to mention that I am probably not going to have a video out tomorrow. I'm actually going to Indiana to go hang out with Tony Laporta and kind of do some planning and start doing some brainstorming on different ideas for high limit racing when we get the season started in March. So Tony and I will be hanging out for the next couple of days trying to think of new ideas and stuff like that for the broadcast. So tomorrow I will not be in my studio, I guess you could call it here, but I will be back on Saturday. We'll more than likely have a video come out at least about the finale on Saturday night. So let's get into this. We've got our first key takeaway last night was Buddy Kofoid is probably really happy that it was not a points race, but he did look very fast. That team, I was kind of worried that maybe they wouldn't come out of the box swinging like they did at the end of the year last year, but they were very good. I mean, very good in the heat race, ran well in the dash, and in the feature they were running, I believe, third or fourth. When Buddy just kind of made a mistake, he did mention in an interview that it sounded like his motor was stumbling a little bit there, and that caused him to get tight on the cushion coming off four that one time. Got over the ledge, came back down the track. The car was all jacked sideways, and Logan Schuart came through and finished him off. Went for a big ride there, and unfortunately was not able to keep going. But Kofoid is proving that he does have the speed to contend with those guys at the front of the field like he was at the end of last year. So Kofoid, glad it was not a points night for sure for him. And a couple of other guys in that same boat. Chris Windham, Sheldon Haudenschild, and Cole Macedo all needing a provisional to start last night's main event. And then a couple of other guys that just struggled. I mean, Skylar G and Zach Hampton. Hampton had issues all night long. The car did not run until the C main. Skylar G just kind of was off the pace all night long. And then Gio Scelzi, I think he also needed a provision. No, he did not. He transferred in through the B main, but no, he did not. He did need a provisional. So it was, let me get this right. It was, okay, sorry, I had that asterisk in the wrong place. It was Windham, it was Scelzi, and then it was Cole Macedo as the other provisional, I believe. But either way, all the drivers in that line right there did not have a good night. And much like the same situation with Buddy Kofoid, they are probably glad that it was not a points race. The only thing that is different between those two, Kofoid and the rest of these guys, was Kofoid was at least fast on the racetrack. The rest of these guys, they either had issues with engines, like Cole Macedo had to change an engine. Hampton did not really fire until later in the race or later in the night. Same thing could be said for Chris Windham. So they were very glad it was not a points event last night at Volusia Speedway Park. But now tonight, they cannot have those issues or they will be behind the eight ball very quickly. None of those guys that took a provisional were even in close to the top 10. So we'll see how they do here this evening. Now also, Carson Macedo. For the first ever race that was on DraftKings Sportsbook, he got the win at plus 550, meaning if you put $10 on him, you would get $65. And tonight he is down to plus 500. So even with the win, he did not move down that far in the odds. And I did want to mention this as well. Somebody in the comment section from yesterday's video sent in a comment today. Officially legal today in Kansas, you are allowed to bet on World of Outlaws sprint car racing for the money line. Basically, who you think is going to win the race. That is now legal in Kansas for any of my Kansas viewers out there that were feeling left out yesterday. Also, I did write on the board, but Carson Macedo proving that the leg injury is not affecting him inside the race car. That was something that I mentioned a lot, leading into this first night of racing. But you could tell when he got out of the car, he did not look like he was feeling too good. He looked like he was kind of tired and he was limping around, and it just did not look like a very pleasant thing that he was going through right then. But in the race car, it certainly did not affect his speed at all, holding off David Gravel en route to getting that win. Also, did want to give a shout out to Danny Sams. Honestly, I was low-key impressed with him all night long. Ran third in the heat race, and then I think started right there around the top 10 in the feature. Was running top 10 for maybe the first 8 or 10 laps. Ends up in the 13th position. Like, for me, I just don't think of Danny Sams as a guy that is going to have a huge hitter engine and going to be a guy that's, contending for a top 10 at Volusia Speedway Park against a 52 car field. But Danny Sams III, I might need to start, changing my rookie of the year finishing order for High Limit, because that was a very, very impressive first night out. 13th place in the feature event for a guy that, honestly, I thought he was going to be fringe on making the show, but he was good in the heat race, good all night long. So Danny Sams, nice job to him last night. Also, Christopher Bell, I mean, come on, man. It's just like riding a bike. I cannot believe how quickly this guy picked it back up. Honestly, I can believe it because I've seen him do so many incredible things over the years. But a brand new car, hasn't been in a sprint car in 2.5 years. Comes out there, goes second quick in qualifying, passed a car or two in the dash, was running fourth or third in the feature and got into the wall, or the tire blew and then he hit the wall. It was hard to tell on the Dirt Vision broadcast if he blew the tire then hit the wall, or he hit the wall and the tire blew. Not really sure, but Bell went to the work area. He did get back out. Let me double check where he ended up. I think he was like 16th maybe. Yeah, he ran 16th in the feature, but was running inside the top 5. And there was a couple of moments where it looked like maybe that plus 15,000 on Bell was going to hit. So DraftKings probably was a little bit worried about that. But Christopher Bell, now we'll wait and see if he comes back for the rest of the week. To show that speed right off the rip, you have to imagine that they're going to want to try and come back and give it another go. Also, there was some drama with the Underdog fantasy app. A lot of people complaining about this on Twitter last night, and even on Facebook. I saw some of the boomers were really getting mad. But the Underdog app, they had some interesting wording on there. It was, I think they changed it now. There was so much complaining that they actually changed the wording on the app. It said better or worse finishing position for like a 7.5 or 8.5. And people thought, no, it was lower or higher, I think was the wordage. And people didn't really know exactly what that meant. There was people that thought lower meant that they had to finish, below 7.5 or whatever. And there was people that put, max bets on that, and it did not hit because they were confused. And the other thing was, if the guy that you bet on Underdog does not make the feature event, your bet's void. So like a ton of people, everybody max bet on TJ Stutz, and he didn't make the show, and it canceled out all of their bets, and people were not happy about that as well. In my opinion, that does need to be clarified more. It probably needs to be fixed. If a guy qualifies for the race and runs a heat race and all that stuff, he should definitely be eligible to be a part of that, of the bet. And if he misses the show, then you lose the bet, right? That's how it should go. And so a lot of people have been commenting and getting a hold of customer service on Underdog Fantasy over the last 24 hours. Garrett Williamson, he was the best rookie last night out of the 6 Rookie of the Year contenders. He ran back in the 18th position. Him, Hunter Schurenberg, and I believe that was it. Out of the 6 rookies, there was only 2 that made the show. And Williamson had the best finish at 18th, and Schurenberg was 21st. And I think he was a lap down. Yeah, they were all a lap down. So none of the rookies finishing on the lead lap last night. We mentioned that in our video earlier on this week, that Volusia is a tough place to get a hold of if you've never been there before. But Garrett Williamson, got off to the best start out of all the rookies so far. Cole Macedo did not get a fair shake. He had an engine issue in, I think, the heat race. But Garrett Williamson, right now, he is reigning supreme in the Rookie of the Year battle, but the points don't count until tonight. Also, did want to mention Emerson Axsom. What a great night it was for him at the beginning. He was quick time overall. He got the heat race win, but then things went downhill in the main event. He did go a lap down, and he would finish way down the order in 25th position. He was 5 laps down. And so a lot of the chatter is that Emerson Axsom is more than likely going to sign a platinum agreement with the World of Outlaws to join the series full time. But if he hasn't signed it already, and he continues to have issues in the feature, and he runs, let's say, 15th or worse every single night for the rest of the week, and he's way down the points order, is that going to affect him signing that platinum agreement if it is not signed already? It might already be signed. I have no idea. But that was not a good start, at least in the main events, for him when it came to the speed. I don't know if they had a problem on the car or whatever, but he did not look very good in that main event. Started 7th and finished down in the 25th position. And I did want to mention this at the very end here. The points are on the line tonight for the very first time. Last night did not count towards World of Outlaws points. That obviously was making some people mad as well online. And obviously, it's not as fun, but for some of these guys, they are they are very happy that it did not count towards points. So that'll be interesting to see who is the points leader for the Outlaws after race number 1 tonight. But yesterday did count toward the Big Gator point standings, which Carson Macedo is the leader in. He was able to get the win last night over David Gravel. Kyle Larson jumped up from outside the top 10 to finish in the 3rd spot. Logan Schuart off to a really, really good start for his season in 4th. Brad Sweet looked slow early on in the night, but then he charged from outside the top 10 to run top 5. Brian Brown was 6th. 7th was Tyler Courtney. 8th was Donnie Schatz. He was also the hard charger on the night. He had to come through the B main after blowing an engine in the heat race. So Schatz already the leader of the plus-minus department in 2025. And then you got Anthony Macri in 9th and not Zeb. I'm going to do that a couple of times. That is Justin Peck in the 26th. He ended up in the 10th position. So that's the top 10 finishing orders. Those are some of the big storylines from last night. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you would like to get a Rodman Rundown t-shirt, that is right down below this video. You can go over there and check out the website for all the t-shirt stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. Please comment your thoughts down below, and we'll talk again here soon on the Rodman Rundown.